Hi guys, welcome back to another video. For a change, I thought I'd do a day at the flea market to see what retro tech treasures I can find. So this is a flea market about 45 minutes away from my home. So let's check it out and see what is there today. So this first table here didn't have a lot of things I was interested in, but I did see these old software CDs. Borland, Home Design, Human Body, some sealed DVD-Rs, nothing super incredibly hard to find, but just taking a look here. Another thing that I found right here is an original DS, broken everything. The screen was scratched, the hinge was broken. Also, the battery compartment, as you see I touch it right over here, is covered with tape. So that's never a good sign. Next thing I pick up is this Orbit wireless controller. It doesn't look like it's ever been plugged in. I think it's for, live DJ performances. Far from being what I'm looking for, but it's pretty cool to see in the box. And right here is a Apple power adapter. So the wire seemed perfectly fine. Seemed clean. Everything was fine on it. So I asked the seller how much he would like in just a moment. I'm just looking through everything else. Just scrounging around as you do at the flea market. So there's not tons of things here. I'm finding just, USB keys, wireless dongles, things like that. For a Switch, there's some of the rails there. And I am looking through the wires. I'm always looking for power adapters, things like that. Here is a GPS, completely useless in today's age. Just think a few years ago, that would have come in handy. Now, I'm about to give up right over here, but then I reach in and I find an iPhone 5C. I probably would have picked this up had the screen not been shattered, but the thing is you don't know if it's iCloud locked, so not something I was looking for. So I take a look at it. Oof, in terrible condition. I don't like to buy iDevices like that because, again, iCloud locks can really just destroy the whole thing, not make it worth repairing, unfortunately. Taking a quick look through everything one last time. Not really finding much, just a bunch of regular cables and wires over here. So, reach out to the seller, saying, who is it? And I ask how much it is. $15 Canadian. That is not going to happen. At this next booth, this is essentially a recycler. You can see there's a lot of old AT power supplies, things like that. Taking a look, it's not really something that I am in need of getting. I'm not really doing any retro builds. Now, at this next booth, however, I did find Mac software in French. So, Word 10 in French. It is a gigantic box. I'm assuming 3/4 of that is a manual and then tons of floppies. Again, it's all in French, so I'm not really looking for this. I'm also not really looking for a copy of Word right now. So, take a look. Don't make an offer really, but I did see something else as you saw in the other clip. It is At Ease. Now I'm not entirely sure what it does. I think it kind of just changed the environment to how it looks on an old Mac, so I picked it up. $1. It was a great deal. The floppies don't look like they've ever been opened, so I'll take it. Now, it was at this time that I was really itching to find some games. I didn't find too much so far, and I came across this booth here with this very friendly young man. He had a lot of newer stuff, a lot of disc-based games, so I just took a quick look around. He was very negotiable, as he said right away, which generally you don't hear that. I found only one thing that kind of interested me. It was a copy. As you can see here, it was actually in really good shape of Super Monkey Ball. He had it for $40. He said, oh, I'm very negotiable, it'll come down to $30. Not sure if I was looking for that, so I took a look at the systems. He had a lot of retro consoles over here, as you can see. I did point out one thing. I was taking a look and I asked him if he had anything older. So there was one Nintendo game. It was just, regular Mario Duck Hunt. I said, do you have anything else? He told me no, he keeps them because he sells them online, that he does a lot better with that. So we discussed just how he grew up on some of the newer stuff. He pointed out to me that he actually grew up with the Wii, and the GameCube was a little bit before him. So a lot of this stuff is just kind of like going into the past for him. Very nice guy, very negotiable, but unfortunately he did not have anything I wanted. So after a few more minutes of looking around, I came by this booth with just a bunch of random stuff. These are generally my favorites. There was nothing too exciting here, but I always take a look at the bin of power supplies. You never know what you're gonna find. A lot of retro consoles need specialized power supplies, so I keep an eye out. Generally, you can find them for a couple of bucks. And in this booth over here, there was one power supply that sort of interested me. I think it was a PSP power supply. So I asked the person at the sale here how much he wanted for it. He told me $8. For me, that is a no-go. I can get them a lot cheaper at the thrift store, unfortunately. Now, I come across one of my favorite ways that people seem to be selling their things, where they just dump it out on the ground. This generally means things are going to be super cheap and they just want everything to go. This person had a lot of just random stuff, as you can see. Telephones, little metal pieces, who knows what was there. So I did spot one box that said NVIDIA on it, so I was super curious what was in it, and there was absolutely nothing in it. It seems the person was selling a completely empty box. I'm not sure who was actually looking for an empty NVIDIA box, but hey, if you want it, it's right there. A few more minutes of walking around and I came by another electronics table. Now I pick up this old power supply here. It looks pretty vintage. I generally look for ones in those kind of shapes with that kind of plastic. You could tell that they're a little bit different than the others, because sometimes you'll be lucky and find one that could be going to an Atari or something, you know? A little headphone jack. That unfortunately did not. It looked like it was for some kind of old razor or something like that. So just digging, found another Sony power supply. I think this is for the PS2 Slim. Not something I'm looking for, really. PS2 Slims are pretty easy to come by, and the prices are pretty cheap even when they're complete. So I leave it there, and I'm looking just to see if I can find, I don't know, an old Sega Genesis one, Nintendo one. Just keep digging. I don't look through anything that looks too new, and then I spot this little gem of a power supply. Yes, cracked wide open. This is an original NES power supply that someone seems to have ripped in half and taped back together. So I leave it there because unfortunately that is not something I want to handle. Here we are towards the end of the flea market. I come across the electronics resellers table. This is where last time I went I got a 128 or 512 keyboard with the numpad for $10, missing the wire, but still a good deal. This person, I don't know where they get all their stuff, but they're there every time I go to the flea market with a table full of electronics. Now I pick up this Sega Genesis controller. It's 3 buttons, nothing too special, but I have plenty of them. So it feels like it works perfectly fine, but I'm not in the need for more controllers for my systems. Take a look, and I spot a bin of iPods. Some of the iPods have the wire, some do not. Also spot this PCMCIA card with the CF card adapter. Again, I have one of these, so I decided to let it go. Now, I'm just going to be looking through here for a couple of minutes. Let me know in the comments below if you spot something that you would have taken. The only thing that I thought I might be picking up was this tray of Sony mini discs. They all seem to be perfectly fine, and I don't think they were used, but honestly, I didn't really have a use case for any of them, so I decided to leave it. Now I take one quick look around the tables, pick up a Walkman, but I think it's just the radio Walkman, nothing I want. Different cables, adapters, card readers are all over the place, so I decide, unfortunately, this time he doesn't seem to have anything I want, so we decide to leave the table. After a few more minutes of walking, I come across this reseller's table, a lot of new goods, but I do spot a tray of games, so I thought I'd take a look, and I thought I saw something that looked like it was sealed. It is March Madness 99, I believe, so I asked the owner of the table how much. They say $5. Now, as you can see, it is a pre-played game. It's just been, I'm assuming, cleaned up and put into different packaging. It is not new. I offer $3. I say it's not a new game, it's a sports game. He refuses, so I decide just to put it back. Find another game reseller's table. I ask, how much are these sports N64 games? He says $20 a piece. I laugh, I walk away. Not worth $20. Here we are coming to the end of the outside portion, and I find another game reseller table. I've been here many times. I look through their games. I'm not looking for disc-based games. I'm looking for NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, things like that. So there's a lot of very common games here. Nothing I really needed. The only notable one was, I think there was a Mario 2 at the front. So just scouring through the games, I ask the owner of the booth, or I'm assuming the owner of the booth is, how much the games are, and they come back at me with the fantastic price of $15 or $25 for two, except for Mario 2, because that's an exception, apparently worth millions of dollars. So I leave the games and walk away. I'm back home now. That was it. That was my day at the flea market. What better to drink on a hot day than some Tim Hortons Double Double? That's what I do. So, unfortunately, I didn't find a ton of things there, as you probably saw in the video, or I'm hoping you saw in the video. This was the one Apple thing that I found that's actually, it looks like it's complete in box. It's called At Ease. So it's environmental, let's try to translate that. It's just changing the way your Mac looks, essentially. It's utilities. It says it's for parents, teachers, interns, an easier interface than the Finder for Macintosh. So here it is. It's in French, because obviously where I'm from, those things are in French. It has 2 discs. They seem to be just 2. It's a very thin bag. It doesn't feel like it's ever been opened. So there it is, At Ease. I'm hoping that they're perfectly fine. And then there's paperwork inside. I'm not going to be taking it out. There's a manual. You can probably see there. The box is vastly empty. So paid $1 for this. It's going to go into my, vintage software area over there. Sorry. Got a little lost there while I was talking. And then, unfortunately, my camera died. I was there for about 2.5 hours. So I picked these up inside because there's an inside component to the flea market. Now, none of these are in great shape, but I'm just filling in holes in my collection. So this was just at a vendor. So Taboo the 6th Sense, $8 Canadian, a very roughed up copy of T2. I did not have this. $5. Yes, they're very terrible condition. That's why they're so cheap. But you know what? I'm just filling in holes. So Clacks from Tengen or Tengen, $5. Star Soldier. I'm pretty sure I can clean this one up pretty well. The label looks okay. $10. And of course, Chris Everett, and Ivan Lendl in Top Players Tennis. What kid wouldn't want to play this? $5. Hoops. Looks like someone wiped their rear end on the label, but it's there for $2. 8 Eyes. Again, $8. And the last one I picked up was Shreddin', or Heavy Shreddin' on the NES for $4. Not in the greatest of shape, but these are just filling in holes in my collection. So that was it. That was a good 2.5 hours to find this stuff. It wasn't the greatest time I've had there, or the greatest day in terms of pickups, but unfortunately, a lot of vendors were selling things very overpriced, and I'm not willing to pay like $20 for a sports N64 game. Sorry. A little crazy. Nobody seemed to be willing to budge also. And yeah, so that was it for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.